So let's talk about this idea of stop saying simple.
What is simple?
I don't know what is simple anymore. Everything, nothing. I'm talking about it with respect to our projects.
Of course.
One of the kind of recurring themes I hear often from prospective clients, I think when they're trying to argue price or negotiate price, is that something is simple.
Do you think it's a matter of trying to negotiate price or not understanding what goes into the actual project?
Both.
Okay.
I think it depends on the moment, right? I think it's a little bit from column A, a little bit from column B. If it's not understanding what it takes to actually do, I think the responsibility is on us, the vendor, to educate our potential clients about what it actually takes to do it right so that A, they can be better informed when looking in the marketplace for alternative bids, which I think everyone should do. And it's our responsibility to ensure everybody understands what is our process and why do we do things this way. You often say, I hear you say it many times, is people that like and respect the work that we do or Sage Agency because we have defined processes that we follow to ensure the best possible result every time, right?
Sure.
Okay, yeah. So yes, I hear this thing all the time. It's simple. It's simple. Well, it's not simple. First of all, because one does it well doesn't mean that it's simple. My favorite doctor client, who I'm speaking of here, said it's speed is a shows how well you can do something. It doesn't mean that it's simple. And even in minor engagements, when I say minor, I mean, let's take a 5-page informational website for, let's say, an attorney that's just starting a practice. What does it actually take to do a project like that? Should I outline, in my view, what a kind of a 30,000-foot view looks like?
Sure.
When I first started in this business, a long time ago, you were still in diapers. I'm joking. You're older than I. In 2012, I had absolutely no idea what I was doing, right? Still now, but a little bit less.
Okay.
less so. I'd go to themeforest.net, I think it was, and I'd find a theme. Say an attorney called me, I'd Google, or put in their attorney template, and I'd pray to God and cross my fingers and toes that the person would, I would find something good that with my limited skill set at the time could go in, edit, make changes to. That's not the work that we do, and that is not the work that I believe clients should be looking for.
You know what? I think clients see the end result and they see a delivered product and it just shows up to what they want.
Yeah.
And it's the missing steps in between that I don't think that they see behind the scenes. You don't see a house getting built. You see that finished house.
With no concept of what it took to build it.
So you would start with a theme from ThemeForest.
This is back in the day.
At the time.
I'd pay $50-$60. I'd download it. I'd do my absolute best to change the text, change some pictures, change the theme options, and voila, I'd have, whatever I would have.
And that is simple. Sort of.
Sort of. Yeah.
Sort of.
Okay, so fast forward. I don't want to, rehash things that we already know that we do and that people have heard us say many times, but we design it first. You gave the example of a house. We're not building a house without framing, without architecture, without planning. We're not doing framing and electrical without plans. It is idiotic, insane. You're going to end up with a bad product. Similarly, obviously less so, in the work that we do, we must design first and gain approval of those designs from our clients before then coding the website in WordPress, or we are opening ourselves up to endless back and forth, which is no good for us, the vendor, and no good for the customer, the client. So coming back to that 5-page site, first and foremost, I have to spend significant time with the potential client or the client that's just hired us to tell us what they think they want.
What they think they want, that's right.
That's an important part, what they think they want, right? They're coming to us because I believe they value our expertise in the subject. So if one says something that doesn't make sense to me, I'm not just going to always say yes, 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 sir, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. I say, hey, I think we should probably consider the following change.
90% of them probably do not know exactly what they want. Some of them will come with a design here.
Yeah.
Or
most
I
often
like these
not,
websites.
Yeah.
Some of them.
Well, I like these websites is also a question we ask. Show me sites you wish that belong to you so that we understand what you like.
Of course.
And I think that's a good point.
And then our designs are created around those visions.
I like to say it's a marriage of your best sites that you show us and, of course, our own creative.
Sure. I mean, we're not taking someone else's site, but we're creating the Figma file for them.
Well, we're getting to know the
design.
customer. Take some time, whatever that takes. Onboarding session, fill out a form, have some conversations with ourselves, with our team, so that we know who you are and we get it right as quickly as possible. I always say, we're going to get to the desired end result. but we'll get there faster if we follow our process.
Sure.
We go to the Figma phase. It's going to take us at least a good solid day, approximately, to design a homepage concept for you that we think is in line with your expectations and what you need and what, we also want to be proud of the work, right? So we're not going to give you half-assed dreck. Okay, we want to do beautiful work, always.
And there's a reason that we're starting with just the homepage.
Yeah, oh yeah. We need to establish...
Not the whole site.
We need to establish a brand. We need to establish how you feel about certain things. The color scheme, the elements, how do the buttons look? How do this look? What's the styling of certain elements? There's no point to apply that to 5 pages or 10 pages or 50 pages and realize we want to make a change. Let's perfect the homepage first. Takes a day, let's say, of real design work. Then some communication around that needs to happen. Edits, et cetera, feedback, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then we have to do the other 4 pages in this small example. Maybe it's another day of design work, approximately. We need to do a review with the client, make sure everything's in line. Then we need to do the mobile versions, right? What's the numbers, Mike? 50, 60, 70% of all visitors are coming from the cell phone. Should not be an afterthought, right? You've actually said many times, I've heard you say, it arguably should be the first thing designed, not the second.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, it needs to be designed in advance. And then that site, informational, nothing complex, just beautiful design, needs to then be coded in WordPress by hand, right? There isn't some snap the fingers AI robot going and perfectly matching the work in WordPress, correct?
Correct.
That's not happening. I wish it was, frankly. Can you make that happen? That'd be fantastic. That doesn't happen. That's another, 20 hours, 25 hours of work, probably, realistically, a few days. So again, just coming back to it's simple. Well, it's not simple. We have processes in place that make it seem like it's simple because you're headache-free, you, the client, are headache-free, and that's our intention.
But there's a lot of moving parts within the team just to get that homepage done.
Correct.
We have graphic design,
Yeah.
UI design. We involve the developers.
Yeah. Can the design, we know it now because we've done hundreds, if not 1,000 projects, but yes, is what we're designing here going to translate well from a development standpoint? It's a great question, right? What's the point of over-designing something that then becomes a big headache for development? It doesn't make sense. So, one of the big takeaways is, I hear this often, it's simple. I just need a basic 5-page website. Again, basic in my mind equates to cheap, and I want to pay less. And my argument is, look, are you really saving yourself whatever amount to pay an inferior vendor that, God forbid, is going to Theme Forest or doing some other variation, direct to WordPress, something like that?
I think the important differentiator, though, is that it's not the same product.
It's not at all.
It couldn't be. There's no way that you can go straight from having a conversation to building a site and put out equal products.
No.
Unless it's a one-man show and they're doing everything. It's just not possible.
And look, I've said this before, I'll say it again. There are many talented people in the world, like you mentioned, freelancer, rolls the sleeves up, does the work themselves, goes directly to WordPress, spends the time. They're out there, 100%. They are. But I'm talking from a macro view. Like, are we going to get that most of the time? No, I don't think so. I think, we can't play the race to the bottom. We can't play well, so-and-so is offering it for $2,000. Why is your fee for the same product $35? Well, it's not the same, right?
It's not the same.
And understand, if you are someone in the market for any kind of informational website, even small like we're talking about now, understand the process and, look for vendors that have these defined processes. And, something I feel really strongly about, and I hope I articulate it well here, is that even in the client engagements that don't go swimmingly well, maybe there's a delay, maybe there's some kind of miscommunication, things happen. I'm a human being, our team is made up of human beings. The differentiator is that under no circumstance am I going to allow a project not to be seen to the end. I think that that's really valuable too in who you decide to work with in this simple project that we're talking about. I have a simple project happening right now, 5 or 6 page site that has been going on for several months now. And scope creep has been a part of it, unfortunately. But again, I'm the captain of the ship, so to speak. And what am I to do? Am I to say, well, I'm not going to continue? No, I have to see it through. I'm responsible. What do you think about that?
I think from a client side, often they will have stakeholder turnover, new people come in, some people leave, change of direction, feedback, and that can delay time, that can change what was initially discussed, and that can lead to delays, not knowing what you want exactly or too many hands in trying to figure out, oh, I
Yeah.
want this shade of blue versus this.
Yeah.
That's one component that could lead to delays. I think from a development standpoint, our team is composed of specialists, people who excel in very specific verticals, whether it is design or looking at data or looking at properly code the websites. And having someone who knows their lane, I think, is very important
Very.
because there are very few jack of all trades that can
Yes.
design very well and code very well.
Mhm.
But in order to deliver the type of products and the amount of products that we deliver, you need the process in place.
Yep. Look, so the summary is it may look simple, but it's not simple, right? There are significant, let's call it IP, that goes into the development of the processes that we have here. There's numerous teammates that are touching an account, whether you see them or not, it's happening. And I would say to anyone looking for a site, even a small one, it's find a vendor that has defined processes that appreciates and respects your time and will do everything in their power to do things along the timeline of which is set.
I think that's well worded. I think people get the misunderstanding of it because you'll take someone's nephew who can build with like a drag and drop editor, or we'll take a theme and we'll change it. And perhaps that is simple.
Mm-hmm.
But I think when you compare the two products side by side, it's not simple. It's not that it's not simple. It's not the same. You're not comparing the two same items.
Yeah, I agree. Apples and oranges.
Correct.
Yeah, apples and oranges.
And that's where the language gets, oh, it's simple. Yes, it's a 5-page site. It's not a complex, different rules, different paths,
Sure.
different experiences for different people. That is not simple.
Mm-hmm.
To create 2 5-page websites, the paths that we go down are very different, but the deliverables are very different.
Mm.
And that's what I think sets us apart and makes our process repeatable.
Yeah. What's a summary? Any kind of how do we finish this off? What does one do? They're looking for a small site. They've heard us talk about this.
I think people need to take a look at our portfolio.
Yep.
They get an understanding of the type of work we do.
Yes. And that we want to continue to do.
And build upon.
Yep.
I think it's understanding that there's a lot that goes on in the background that is not necessarily seen, which makes parts take long.
You said it best
I'll
the other
edit that
day.
out.
No, but you said it best the other day. You said something like, well, it seems easy, but it's, it's going on.
Sure,
all
it
night.
seems easy.
Yeah, because you have no headache along the way, right? That's the whole point of all of this.
And we also have a lot of experience executing these products.
Yes.
That from our standpoint of our operations, the process for us to get to the end is defined,
Correct.
which makes it go seamless. So it comes off that it must be simple.
Yeah.
I want a page, no problem. We get another page done.
Yeah.
It's simple because we have a good process.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of moving parts that make it complex.
I'll end with 2 things. Hormozy said, I love this, that the better you are at something, the less input you need in order to do it well. And the vice versa is if you're not good at something, it doesn't matter how much input somebody gives you, it's not going to work out well, right? I love that, and it's so true. Right now, teammates of ours, the communication and the directives can be succinct, right?
Mhm.
Because we keep doing it well, right? So that's something to think about. And lastly, it's just don't make price the main determinant of your decision making, because I fear that if the savings, I'm using air quote, of whatever, 35, 30, 40% of, it's not a savings, right? You're not paying less and getting the same product. You're paying less and buying yourself a bunch of headaches in the future. So keep it in mind.
Mm-hmm.
It's always a pleasure.